Hey guys, today we're talking about how we found out we were non-binary. I think I've sort of told this story in some other videos, but whatever, I'll just retell the whole thing. So I didn't know what transgender was until I was 14. Some people had even most people had a vague idea, even if it was inaccurate. I had no idea. I'd never heard of boys dressing as girls or girls dressing as boys, or sex changes. I'd heard about sex changes, and people were making jokes about sex changes. I thought it was some sort of science fiction thing that might happen in the future. I had no idea it was something that actually happened. Anyway, so I was talking to someone on the internet and he told me he was FTM, and I was like, what is that? And he told me, and I looked up transgender, and my mind was kind of blown. I was like, are you serious? Gender and sex are different things? And I understood what sex was, so I'm like, how can I understand what gender is? And it was just it just struck me are you telling me that other girls feel like a girl? Because I was I knew, in my head, I knew I was a girl because that's what everybody else told me, and so I accepted it as fact. But I never felt like a girl. So I was like, do other people feel that way? They feel like a girl or feel like a boy? They have a feeling, an emotion, and that's what their gender is? So I was very confused. I was like, okay, I'm a girl because everybody said I was a girl. Therefore, I must have this female gender feeling somewhere inside my mind. I just don't know how to identify it yet. So that's what I kept on telling myself for a little bit. But I wanted to know more, so I kept on researching, and I asked people questions. I asked my friends, do you feel like a girl? And they're like, yeah, of course I feel like a girl. And and then I thought about it, and I was like, I can't find this feeling. I was trying to locate my gender somewhere in myself. And I was like, I don't feel this feeling, maybe I don't have a gender. And then I came across the term agender, and I'm like, okay, that's what I was talking about. There are other people who like this. And I was just questioning, am I non-binary? I never even, it never even crossed my mind that I was a guy. I knew 100% I'm not a guy. So it's either am I a girl who just can't feel her gender, or am I a non-binary person? And I sort of went back and forth a lot. One day I would wake up and I'd be like, I think I'm onto something with this non-binary thing. And then the next day I would be like, no, I'm a girl, I'm cis, what are you talking about? But I gradually, as time passed, I became more and more sure, because I learned later on, I learned what gender dysphoria was. And I was like, are you telling me that there are people who are actually comfortable with puberty and the gendered characteristics of their body and don't want it gone? There are people, I knew that my friends were always talking about my girlfriends were have you got your period yet? Oh, look at her hips, look at her breasts, she is big or she's small. And they would wish that they were bigger or more their breasts were bigger, their hips were bigger, because that was what was attractive. So I understood that people wanted to be attractive, but I didn't understand that people I didn't know that people actually liked it as part of their body. I thought everyone saw it as a nuisance that was pushed on them by their body. But I actually it was actually listening to cis women talking about their body and their like accepting their body, and they said, oh, like I feel like I like my body because it makes me feel like a woman and that makes me happy. And I'm just like, why would you want to feel like a woman? Like, why would that be a good thing? Why would you want to feel like a man? Like, why? I was just like, yeah. And, so I realized, like, I have the symptoms of gender dysphoria. And like, as I understood, dysphoria more, I realized that there was social dysphoria too. Like, there were signs, like, I would forget sometimes that I was supposed to be a girl. Like, I didn't think I was supposed to be a boy, but I would forget that I was supposed to be a girl. So I was like if people were put in like groups in like elementary school, and they would be like, oh, like, get in groups of all girls or all boys, or if I was put in a group with all girls, I'd be like, huh, that's weird, they put me in a group of all girls. Oh wait, I'm a girl, that's why they put me in a group of all girls. I had to like think about it. And I didn't feel like, I felt estranged in a group of all girls the same way I felt estranged in a group of all boys. I felt like I'm the one who was different here. And I always explained it away because, like, I was always a weird kid, I was bullied, and I just was like, oh, I feel like, I only feel normal around my friends because my friends don't bully me and stuff like that. But the thing is, like, when I started making guy friends too in middle school, I felt so much more normal hanging out with a mix of guys and girls. Because then I was like, I'm not the odd one out. And, like, why would I be the odd one out? Because we were all weirdos. So I was like, maybe it's because of gender. And, like, looking back at it, I think that's what it was. Like, I felt way more comfortable. Like, I felt like I wasn't the odd one out. Also, like, some days, this sort of has to do with being friends with guys too. People, like, guys sometimes would, I wasn't one of the guys, but I had, like, a lot of guy friends, more than most girls in middle school did. So, guys that I knew in the hallway, when I passed them, instead of saying, like, hi or smiling, like girls do to each other and guys do to girls, they would nod at me. And that made me so happy because I was like, they don't see me as a girl. Like, obviously they did see me as a girl, but I was like, they're not treating me like a girl. And I thought, like, oh, I'm just like, I just want to fit in with my friends. That's why I'm so happy they're not treating me like a girl. But I didn't feel like that every day, which we'll get to that later, like how my feelings fluctuated. Like I mentioned before, there were some days where I would wake up and I'd be like, yeah, I think I'm onto something. And then other days I would like be like, no, I'm cis. And then like my dysphoria was different. Like one day I might have like no dysphoria, I was like totally okay with my body, and then the next day I would like hate my breasts. I didn't like listening to recordings of my voice because I thought it was really high, and I thought it sounded stupid. And I'm not sure if that's a gender thing, but it very well could be. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like agonized about it. I was like, what is going on? Am I a girl? Am I not a girl? Like, do I just need to locate this girl feeling and then all these feelings, all this confusion will go away? And then I started feeling like, I guess I just started considering myself, I always consider myself distinct from other girls, but I guess like now I had a reason to. And I was just like observing all my thoughts. And I was like, okay, so it's not normal to think like this. And I would listen to people, I would listen to cis people, I would listen to trans people, and I was like, the way I feel about gender-related things is very similar. It's like the way trans people feel, the way non-binary people feel. And I do not feel the way that cis women or cis girls feel. So I sort of, like, more often, like, my days where I was doubting myself were less and less. But once in a while I would be like, you know, today if someone called me a girl, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Which is one of the reasons why I think that I might be gender fluid. Because, like, I just have a lot of emotions about gender, and they're very changeable. Like, one day, you know, someone will refer to me in a female way, and I'll be totally fine with it. And the other day, like, and the next day, like, someone will refer to me, like, using she or ma'am, and I won't know who they're talking to. Because I'm like, are you talking to me? Like, you think I'm a girl? What? I'm still trying to figure out if it's just varying dysphoria or I really am gender fluid. If I am gender fluid, I figured out that most of the time I identify as a gender that is neither male nor female. Not a neutral gender, not agender. So I know I am at least partially that gender. There are different words for it, like, some people would say third gender, but that's like a problematic term. You can look it up. It has like lots of history, anthropological, like binarist history. And some other words that would describe that gender of mine would be aliagender or mavrique. I'll write both of those down for you guys. And sometimes I feel, once in a while, I'll say I feel kind of like a girl. And then once in a while I will feel kind of like a guy. And I just like, I mean, no matter what, I'm pretty much always femme, like in my clothes and mannerisms. But I don't know if it's just like I'm trying to figure out the difference between feeling feminine and feeling like a girl. And one part of me is like, you're not a girl. You're not a boy, you're something else. You're you. You know, like, part of me is saying that, like, you're that, you're not sometimes a girl, you're not sometimes a boy, like, you're you. Like, when I feel like, I don't really, like, identify with one of the two words that I described before, but I'll just use mavrique because, I guess I like that one better. I don't really use a word in my head when I'm thinking about it, but I'll use mavrique. So, like, a lot of times, if I feel like I'm mavrique, I will be like, no, I could never be a girl, or I could never be a boy. That's ridiculous. Like, I could never feel that way. But then a day will come where I feel kind of feminine or kind of masculine, and I'm not sure if it's feeling feminine or masculine, or like maybe, I don't know. I saw this Twitter account. It's called, like, it introduced me to this new word, which is demiflux, which is where your gender, or one part of your genders, one part stays static, and then the other part fluctuates between demi-genders, like demi-boy and demi-girl. And if I am gender fluid, I feel like that is a very apt description of what I'm going through. I'm always mavrique. I'm always neither male nor female, but sometimes I am almost a girl or almost a boy, but not totally, because I'm still mavrique. Oh, this shit is so confusing. Like sometimes, you know, in the past few months, there have been a couple days where I was like, I want to try out he pronouns. But then the next day I'll be like, he? What was I thinking? But sometimes I wish I could try out pronouns, you know, but it's hard enough. Like, I get misgendered enough, like, using they pronouns. And that's, like, the easiest one. So, switching, like, pronouns on people, it's not gonna work. Like, I wish it would, but it's not, you know, it's not gonna work well. And since it's something, like, I'm not very attached to, I'm not gonna try it. So it was a pretty gradual process. By the time I was 16, I think, I had fully accepted that I was non-binary. It took me 2 years, from 14 to 16. And it was quite the roller coaster. Like, I'm still, like, questioning what exactly my gender identity is, but now that I know that for sure that I'm non-binary, it's way easier. Like, oh, like, another component in, like, me figuring out I'm definitely not a girl is, like, you know, I was watching this YouTube video, if I can find it, I'll link it, and it was, like, how to, like, a thought experiment, how to know if you're transgender or something like that. And I said, imagine yourself living as an adult, or an older adult if you're already an adult, as your assigned gender. How does that make you feel? And I was like, okay, I'm trying to imagine myself as a woman. I literally cannot imagine myself as a woman. I'm like, woman? That's not me. And so I didn't have, like, as strong as a feeling against, like, girl, but I guess that's because it's not in my future. It's in my past, like, it's just like, I don't know. This shit is really confusing. But that was another step along the way, those 2 years, was watching that YouTube video and being like, as an adult, like, I just see myself as neither a man nor a woman. Still figuring out whether or not I'm gender fluid or I'm just having gender feelings confusion. Who fucking knows? I guess we'll find out eventually. Okay, hope everybody's having a good weekend. I'm on spring break, so, like, if you want to send me messages, you know, or talk about shit, you know, whatever, send me a message on Twitter, on Tumblr, or comment on this video, comment on my personal channel, whatever floats your boat. Okay, see you guys, bye.